Okay, we've learned a little bit about text and text boxes. So I've got a document here and I've got some text in there. But if you remember back the very first video, we created a folder with all my assets in it. Well, that had a logo and a couple of images. In order for me to bring an image into InDesign, what I'm going to do is place it. But in order to place it, I need a picture box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my layers palette and I'm going to click on my background images layer. And then I'm going to come over to my tool palette and I'm going to select this box that has an X through it. That's called the frame tool. So think of it as a picture frame. And then I'm just going to create a box that I can now place an image into. So now I'm going to go up to File and Place. And then I'm going to go and find one of the images that I want to use here. So there it is. The scale's a little off. So what I can do is, now that I have that box, the image in the box, I'm going back to my Move tool. And then I have a couple of options up here for scaling this image inside the box. I can fit the content to frame, which means that it's going to take the image, scale it up, but distort it. It's going to basically force that image into that shape frame, which really isn't what I want, because I don't want the boat all distorted like that. So I'm going to undo that. The next one will fit the content proportionately, which means it's going to expand the image until it hits two edges. Well, that's great, but it's still not really what I want, because I want to fill this whole background up with this boat image. I'm going to undo that as well. My next option is to fit the frame to content, which would mean it'll shrink the frame down to fit around the image. That's not really what I want either. So I'm not going to, if I do that, you see now my picture box shrank down to be the size of the image. That's not what I want. So then finally I have this fill frame proportionately button, which is what I want. It's going to expand the image and it's going to allow it to keep on going past the edges so that it fills the frame up. But now, of course, it's not quite cropped the way I want it. So in order to change that, I'm going to come back over to my toolbar. And I'm not going to use the selection tool, because that's going to move the whole picture frame. What I want to do is click on the arrow right below that, the direct selection tool. And what that's going to allow me to do is move the image inside the picture frame. So I'm going to just arrange this image a little bit so that the part of the boat is showing that I want to see. And that's how you place an image. And you can also do this for logos. So this time I want to use a foreground image. So I'm going to go up to my foreground image layer, grab my frame box. Actually, you know what? I'm going to delete that. I can do this a different way. If I don't have any box selected in InDesign and I go File and Place, and I go and get this logo, see how my cursor becomes loaded up. The image is sitting there waiting for me to drag a box out. So as I click and drag, I can create a box, and now the logo can sit inside. So now I have my logo sitting up on the top in the foreground images layer, and then I have the boat image in the background images layer. And what I'd also like to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to click on that image. And I'm going to screen it down a little bit. So I'm going to fade the image in the background a little bit. So right here, when I'm on my selection tool, this percentage up here is my screen percentage. So you can see my image getting lighter in the background there as I bring that down. So maybe I only something like 45%. So now it's got that image in the background, but it's kind of paled out, and all my text sitting on top, and then my logo image sitting on the top layer. The only other thing you might want to do is, if none of these scale things are going to work for you, and you want to actually physically change the size, or you want to manually change the size of an object, if you hold down your Command, your Option, and your Shift key, select the object first, the image first, Command, Option, Shift, then grab the corner of the image box and drag, you can scale that image up manually. So Apple, Option, Shift to scale an image manually. You have the buttons up here to scale it automatically, and then you're going to File, Place to put images into your